Dad, boomer, did a work experiment and quit shortly after. My dad is retired military and recently got a job at a local grocery store because he wanted to get back on a schedule. He did not need the money but wanted to see if he could actually live off of the money that they paid him. He made $12.50, which was the max that this store paid for his area, and his first paycheck had 84 hours on it. His first paycheck barely covered his mortgage and he realized he had about $60 left for 2 weeks for food and gas. He tried to make it last, but unfortunately a few days later he was completely out of money. The second paycheck came in after bills. He had roughly $140 left. He said that he was hired as a cashier but never saw a cash register. He stocked, unloaded the trucks, cleaned and even cut meat in the back. He was very confused as to why his job title said one thing, but he was constantly doing other things, including working in areas where the pay was different. Cashiers got paid the least, but he was working in areas that got paid more for only $12.50. 6 weeks in and he decided it was best for him to quit as he wasn't getting true breaks and his pay wasn't worth working 40+ hours. He also got yelled at multiple times in front of others for not following made-up rules that seemed to differ manager to manager. He said that if this is how people have to work, then he understands why people quit or work multiple jobs and burn themselves out. He is a retired colonel with 4 master's degrees, many leadership awards and 5 deployments. He also did 20 years civil service, so 44 years of governor service combined. He has led and managed more people than most and said that no manager should ever yell at anyone, and that there is no way someone can work on that pay and actually live. Had it not been for his pensions and VA pay, he would have slowly gone into debt and fell behind financially. He said that he will never complain again when places don't have employees, as he understands why. If only our politicians could go through something like this. Everyone should read Nickel and Dimed for this exact reason. The author tried this experiment to a greater extreme. She attempted to live in a few new towns with essentially nothing to her name while working these ultra-low-paying jobs. She quickly saw that one minor setback, doctor's appointment, flat tire, irritating her boss, etc., set off a chain reaction that could result in losing all savings, any progress, and even employment. For me, as someone who was lucky enough to grow up firmly middle class, it revealed how unforgiving our economic system is. Good story. Your old man seems like he's cool. Thank the Colonel for his service. It would be awesome if you could get him to do an interview with a local newscaster that covers area-wide issues. Bringing more attention would help root out the rats and bring changes in the light. I firmly believe everyone should work at least one retail service job. For this reason, it sucks. And it's very easy to say, how hard can it be? If you haven't experienced it firsthand. Thanks for his service. Also, military family brag. My brother's a master sergeant and we're super proud of him. He got every promotion as soon as he was eligible for it. Also, he was stationed in Hawaii for 4 years, so twist my arm we had to go and visit him. They have him cutting meat? The meat cutting union would love to hear about that. Your dad is a real one. What he did was amazing and I can tell you are proud of him. As you should be. It's just too bad other people running these businesses and our government haven't the slightest clue what people struggle with on a daily basis, or worse yet, don't want to know. I never understood why managers had to yell. That doesn't get your point across any better than calmly talking like they're a normal person would. I always thought undercover boss would be better if the owners had to live on their employees' Salary for a couple months. Is there a word for that? Hiring you under one role but asking you to take on more responsibilities outside that area? I remember as a front-end worker at a theater, I ended up cleaning theaters, bathrooms, bussing tables, folding silverware into cloth napkins. Basically everything that wasn't managing or making food. It was one of those newer diner theaters. I can't imagine what was going through his head when a manager at a grocery store was yelling at him. That's some serious military discipline. Tell your father his service is appreciated with the DoD and whatever entity he worked with after. A lot more people in positions of relative privilege need to see what retail, warehousing, and food service are really like. They are exhausting, soul-crushing jobs that leave you broke too. Kudos to your dad for getting down in the trenches and seeing how the other half live. It would be amazing if you could get him on a news program. Maybe NPR and Fox. Then you'd hit quite the cross-section. His background and education would speak volumes to the average person. The question is, before the experiment, did he believe the narrative that no one wants to work? Did it take a "until it happened to me it wasn't real" moment? Yay, this absolutely happened. He said that he was hired as a cashier but never saw a cash register. He stocked, unloaded the trucks, cleaned and even cut meat in the back. He was very confused as to why his job title said one thing, but he was constantly doing other things, including working in areas where the pay was different. Cashiers got paid the least, but he was working in areas that got paid more for only $12.50. This happened to me too. I applied for a job right out of college and was told due to my lack of experience I'd have to start at a much lower paying job and work my way up. Within a year, not only was I doing the job, I was training others to do the job, and while they were getting salaried pay, I was still getting minimum wage. Weird thing about that office. If you looked at the minimum wage side of it, everyone was one color, and if you looked at the salary side, everyone was a different color. First, thank your dad for his service. That's quite impressive. I'm glad he tried it out. It's good for those who don't live paycheck to paycheck, see how others do it and the struggles they face. They hired him as a cashier to get away with paying the lower rate. He saw how bad their practices were. He's a highly distinguished man. He may have the ability to incite change. He should report this store to the Labor Department and the corporate office. Hiring him as a cashier and having him work in higher paying areas is wage theft. If our politicians did that, they would have their own money to fall back on. It's why I think politicians should have to make minimum wage or something close to it whilst they're in office. They need to make $7.25 at the federal level with no access to outside funds to get it. They need to try to live on a salary where they can't afford to live the way they are used to living. It needs to last the length of the term. It needs to be every congressperson and every senator. Every Supreme Court justice needs the experience too. I've had a hard time explaining to my family that jobs are needed just because they are retired and don't want jobs. I'm glad your dad did the experiment. He gets it. If only the rest of his generation got it too. I like OP's idea. Undercover boss congressional version where they have to live like regular people for at least a month. Boring dystopia. Just the experiment itself suggests this is a different caliber or person.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.